Welcome to Homeo Vision channel and a very good day to all of you watching this video. I'm Dr. Gauthami Deshmukh and we will continue with our Organon of Medicine videos. In this lecture, we will discuss about aphorism number 12 and its footnote. This is a very short and a sweet um, aphorism that kind of summarizes a few of the previous aphorisms. There is also a very small footnote which is kind of an advice from Hahnemann to all of the physicians out there. So even for this video, for this aphorism, I have made a small flowchart that will help us understand this aphorism better. So as I've already told you in the previous video, after watching this video, I would want all of you to go back, open your 6th edition and go through the aphorism once again. All right, let us begin. So this aphorism starts off like this. So we all know that the morbidly affected vital energy. So what is the meaning of morbidly affected vital energy? It is nothing but the deranged vital force, correct? Okay, so the morbidly affected vital energy refers to deranged vital force. So the dynamically deranged vital force, okay, what is it going to do? It produces the perceptible morbid phenomena. Perceptible morbid phenomena is nothing but what? Yes, something that is available to our senses, that is the signs and symptoms. Signs and symptoms. Okay, so the deranged vital force produces the signs and symptoms which are perceptible to our senses, and this is what is disease. So, this is the very definition of disease as homeopathy teaches us. Alright, so the morbidly affected vital force produces the disease. That is nothing but which consists of the perceptible signs and symptoms. Now, this perceptible morbid phenomena expresses all the internal derangement of the vital force. So, what Hahnemann is trying to tell us here is that although the signs and symptoms is something that we can observe externally, but this reflects the internal derangement of the vital force. So, it is showing us that the vital force that is there inside our material organism is affected. Okay. So, although the signs and symptoms are external manifestations, but this is something that is reflecting the derangement, or it is something that is reflecting the disturbance that is occurring inside. Okay. Reflecting the disturbance that is occurring inside, something that we cannot see. Correct? Yes. So therefore, so this statement means nothing other than the whole morbid derangement of the internal dynamics. So the signs and symptoms is again, that is this perceptible morbid phenomena. The perceptible signs and symptoms is reflecting the whole of the morbid derangement of the internal dynamics. Okay. So whatever derangement has happened to the internal vital force, internal dynamics is nothing but the vital force. Correct? Morbid derangement is, we know, morbid is nothing but something abnormal, something diseased, correct? So, the perceptible morbid phenomena is reflecting, or it is basically showing uh, that something is wrong inside, that something has happened. So, whatever the whole of the disturbed vital force is being depicted or is being reflected in the form of these external perceptible signs and symptoms. And therefore, this perceptible morbid phenomena, it reveals the whole of the disease. Okay, that is why this is considered as the disease itself. Okay, so this is what he says in the first half of the aphorism. Then he says, therefore, so now we know that the signs and symptoms, that is the perceptible signs and symptoms, since it tells us, since it is representing the entire derangement of the internal vital force, it is considered as the whole of the disease. Okay. Therefore, what can we conclude from this? Therefore, he says that the removal or the treatment is a word that is used in the aphorism. Therefore, the treatment of all this perceptible morbid phenomena is equal to the restoration of the integrity of the vital force. Meaning, uh, when you treat these external perceptible signs and symptoms, it is equivalent to treating the disturbed or the deranged vital force. So if you're removing these morbid phenomena, that is these signs and symptoms from the body, it is equivalent to bringing back the vital force to its normal form. Okay, whatever was deranged is being brought back to its state of equilibrium, or what we call as homeostasis. Correct. So the vital force was earlier disturbed. Now we are bringing it back into its normal state by how? By treating the externally manifested perceptible morbid phenomena. All right. So therefore, this is equal to the restoration of the state of health of the organism. That is nothing but cure of the organism. All right. So this is the gist and the essence of aphorism number 12. I will repeat. We have the morbidly affected vital force, which produces the perceptible morbid phenomena. And this is something that, so the perceptible morbid phenomena is something that is called as a disease. And it is also something that expresses the internal derangement of the vital force. That is nothing but it is reflecting the whole of the morbid derangement of the internal vital force, and therefore this is something that reveals the whole disease to the physician. Therefore, treatment of this morbid phenomena is equivalent to restoring the integrity of the vital force, and this is nothing other than the cure of the organism. This is what the physician has to do. Okay. Now, in the footnote, what he says is that he says how the deranged vital force produces symptoms, okay, is something that is unnecessary for the physician to know. Okay, he says that how see, we know that the deranged vital force is producing signs and symptoms. Correct. That is the first half of our this much. So we know that the morbidly affected vital energy is producing signs and symptoms. But how is it producing the signs and symptoms? So Hahnemann says this is something that is unnecessary. So as a physician, our aim is to what? Cure the sick. We do not have to be researchers here. Okay, we do not have to be discoverers here. So he says, knowing this process is of no practical utility. This is the phrase that is used in the footnote. Okay, he says, I'm sorry, I just made an error. So he says that knowing how um, knowing how this deranged vital force produces signs and symptoms is something that is always hidden. Okay, and we do not know about that. And the physician must not try to discover about this or research about this, or he should not waste time in trying to know how this deranged vital force is producing symptoms, because it is of no practical utility. It is of no practical utility for the physician. Okay, knowing this does not help him treat or cure the organism. So all that is necessary for the physician to know in order to bring about a cure is the perceptible signs and symptoms. So all that we need to know about is the perceptible signs and symptoms, because this is something that is reflecting the entire disease. Okay, this is something that is reflecting the entire disease. So if we know about, so if we are able to, observe keenly these perceptible signs and symptoms, that is all that is needed for us to bring about a cure or to treat a patient. And these perceptible um, signs and symptoms is something that is being shown to us by God. Okay, here the phrase Lord of life has been used. Okay, he says the Lord of life has is showing to us the perceptible signs and symptoms through which we can know about cure. Sorry, through which we can bring about cure. So this is all that is needed for a physician to know. So we do not need to dig in to the interior of the organism and find out how the deranged vital force is producing symptoms, because that is of no use for a physician in order to bring about treatment. So all that we need to know is we need to observe and make a note of the perceptible signs and symptoms, and through this we can bring about an ideal cure. So this is the gist of aphorism number 12. If you have any doubts, please put them up in the comment section below, and thank you for watching this video.